All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're diving into a really powerful analysis from Preston Powell III about something that's quietly shaping all of our lives: algorithmic discrimination. It's happening, often without us even knowing it.
So first things first, let's get one thing straight. Artificial intelligence. It isn't some futuristic sci-fi idea anymore. It's here, right now. It's working behind the scenes, making huge decisions that affect you every single day.
I mean, think about it for a second. The last time you applied for a job, or maybe a loan, who or what was making that first critical decision about your future? Let's stick with the job application. Who's the one making that first cut?
Yep, an algorithm. Before a single human being ever even glances at your resume, there's a very good chance that a piece of software has already judged you, sorted you, and maybe even rejected you. It's this unseen force shaping our most important opportunities in life.
And you know, it's not just about jobs, not by a long shot. These systems are everywhere, influencing who gets approved for a mortgage, which neighborhoods get policed more heavily, and who, at the end of the day, gets denied a real shot at getting ahead. The scale of this is just massive.
So the big question is, how on earth does this happen, right? How can a piece of technology, something that's supposed to be totally neutral and objective, end up being biased? Well, it really all comes down to the data.
And that brings us to the core concept here, algorithmic bias. To put it really simply, an AI is only as smart and as fair as the data we train it on. So if that data is full of our own historical, human biases, well, the AI just becomes a really efficient student of those biases.
You know, there's this quote from the source material that just says it all. It perfectly captures this idea that technology isn't created in some sterile lab, separate from the world. It's a product of our society, with all of our history, our flaws, and our prejudices baked right in.
So here's the crucial point. It's a simple but incredibly dangerous equation. These AI systems, they learn from decades and decades of data on things like hiring and lending and policing. And if that history reflects a society with systemic discrimination, the AI doesn't magically fix it. It learns it. And then it automates it at an unbelievable scale.
And look, this isn't just some abstract, theoretical problem. Let's look at some of the very real and very damaging ways this is already playing out in the real world.
The real-world harm is just staggering. We're talking about hiring software that automatically penalizes a resume just because it came from an historically black college. We're seeing facial recognition systems that are way more likely to misidentify people of color. There are even tools used in the justice system that label black defendants as being a higher risk than white defendants, even for the exact same crime. This is digital discrimination, and it has a devastating human cost.
And it is so important to understand this. These are not random errors. They're not bugs in the system. They are the predictable, logical outcomes of training a system on biased data and then just letting it run without any real checks and balances.
And this is why this new form of bias is so dangerous. See, with a human, you can question their motives. You can challenge their reasoning. But with an algorithm, the decision-making process is often hidden inside what's called a black box, protected by company secrets. It is so much harder to see, way harder to prove, and almost impossible to fight.
Okay, so what do? We obviously can't just unplug everything. The author, Preston Powell III, he doesn't just point out the problem. He actually proposes a solution, a really practical 5-point plan for how we can create meaningful oversight.
And the way he frames it is key. This isn't just a nice-to-have idea. Given what's at stake here, we're talking people's livelihoods, their freedom, their futures. This kind of oversight is absolutely essential for a fair society.
All right, let's walk through this plan. Step 1. Transparency. Simple. We should have the right to know when an AI is making a decision about us and a basic idea of how it works. Step 2. Mandatory bias audits. This means forcing companies to get their AI tested by independent experts to find discrimination before it hurts people. Third, accountability. Companies have to be held legally responsible for what their algorithms do, can't hide behind the code. Fourth, community voice. The people who are most likely to be harmed by these systems, they need to have a real seat at the table when these things are being designed and governed. And finally, step 5, regulation. Because it's become crystal clear that just asking companies to police themselves, well, it just hasn't worked.
I really want to pause on this quote because it gets to the absolute heart of that fourth point. Including the communities that are affected isn't just about being polite or making people feel good. It is a fundamental safeguard. It's one of the most effective ways to stop these biased and harmful systems from being built in the first place.
So this all brings us to the final and most crucial takeaway. The technology is here. It is not going away. The real question is about the choices that we, as a society, are going to make right now about how we control it.
This quote from the source, wow, it just paints such a powerful and frankly terrifying picture. Think about that image for a second. A high-speed engine, taking all the old, familiar prejudices and biases that have been around for centuries, and then turbocharging them, scaling them across millions of lives in an instant. That is the future we're risking if we don't get this right.
And so we're left with this question. And the author doesn't give us the answer, because the answer is up to all of us. Are we just going to stand by and let these incredibly powerful tools automate the worst mistakes of our past? Or are we going to demand that they be built on a foundation of fairness, accountability, and justice? That really is the choice we all face.